Argentines are taught from a school age that the British, or the English as they refer to us, the English pirates stole the Malvinas as they refer to them, and ultimately the Falklands as we refer to them. So it's become a bit of a national cause.
A fresh row has broken out surrounding the Falkland Islands after Argentinian players last night waved a banner reading Las Malvinas son Argentinas, which means basically the Falklands are Argentinian. They showed that banner on the pitch after beating England in the World Cup semi-final. Downing Street stepped into the matter to say the World Cup might be ours, might not be ours, but the Falkland Islands definitely are. And the Business and Trade Secretary Peter Kyle spoke to Times Radio this morning.
When it comes to the Argentinians, I think the dignity with which our team acted, I think, is the perfect contrast, and really shows them for their own behaviour by contrast. And when it comes to the rest of it, FIFA need to really take the action that deserves to happen.
Well, to add fuel to the fire, the Argentinian government submitted a note of protest to the British Embassy about HMS Medway. Number 10 say they did notify the Argentinian government of its presence in the region. This is the ship. It was conducting routine logistics ahead of a visit to Chile for Antarctic research. And the Argentinians said that this broke protocol. The British insist that that's not the case. But with us to discuss this thorny issue, including Argentina's long history and the geopolitical tension between the two nations, is Dr. Louise Claire, an expert in British-Argentine relations and the Falklands War. Louise, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I think probably some Brits are taken aback by the fact that the feeling is so strong. We had an idea in the build-up to this game that it was, but the feeling is so strong and so current amongst, relatively young Argentinians, young football players who don't normally get involved in politics. Unless it is more of a cultural issue, it has to be said. And so here we are with some Argentinian players, many of whom play in Britain, holding up a banner saying the Falklands are Argentinian last night.
Yes, exactly. It's not surprising, in my opinion, that has actually occurred. I think for us living in Britain, and if you live outside of Argentina in particular, or you're not Argentine, it's a difficult thing to fathom. But to explain it in a cultural context, as you alluded to, the Argentines are taught from a school age that the British, or the English as they refer to us, the English pirates stole the Malvinas as they refer to them, and ultimately the Falklands as we refer to them. So it's become a bit of a national cause, and it's difficult maybe for many listeners to think about how that then relates to football. As you alluded to, why are there so many young Argentine football players concerned with this? Not just because of their upbringing and their schooling, but it's quite symbolic in the fact, if we go back in a sort of a bit of a brief history, when Argentina wins its independence and gains its independence from Spain, Britain begins to trade a lot more with Argentina. And was ultimately, there are other institutions that are set up by the British, and one of them is football clubs in Argentina that many Argentines are actually excluded from. So they set up their own clubs, and the PB, which is the Argentine version of sort of young working class lads, play in those clubs. And I'm sure many listeners will have heard of Boca Juniors.
Yeah.
Many of the famous Argentine players that do play in the English clubs in this country now are actually founded. They are discovered.
So why were the Argentinians excluded from those clubs set up by the British? Just simply because they were Argentinian and they were British clubs for British people, or colonials?
Yeah, there's a big element to that it is kept as a British sport, and they're allowed to have their other clubs, but primarily it needs to be kept within the British realm. And I think that is something that's seen as a real injustice. And I think that's how we can link it to yesterday's evening's event, with the banner being unveiled by the Argentine football players. Because again, if you think about the history of the 1966, for us, that's when England last wins the World Cup, but for Argentina, it's another injustice where their captain, Ratin, is sent off and then squats in the Queen's box on the red carpet as a result of that. And then, of course, 1986, I'm sure many listeners will remember Maradona's Hand of God and how he is seen to right the wrongs of the English, as the Argentines see it, from the conflict in 1982. So history is intertwined with football from the Argentine perspective.
Yeah, certainly. And I was also shocked to see that when you win, you tend to forget some of the protest. But clearly not last night with that banner held on the pitch. But also some fans were seen burning the England flag. There was a coffin painted with a St George's cross hoisted above fans' heads. I mean, this is deep seated, and come win or lose, it is absolutely present. What do you think? I mean, for England, Britain's part in it, the number 10 spokeswoman said today that the Prime Minister wishes both teams well for the final. This is Argentina and Spain, especially Spain. I mean, that doesn't help matters. I wonder if you think that's a bit disrespectful, or whether it's just, fair kind of banter, I suppose.
I think it's possibly typical of the football type of banter that goes on. You mentioned the burning of the English flag, or the Union Jack is sometimes burnt as well. Effigies of Thatcher are burnt. There are songs that if you don't jump, then you're an Englishman, that the Argentine fans often chant. I think it's potentially a bit of banter, because if we think about it as well, Britain also has a dispute, did have a dispute with Spain about Gibraltar. So it is not unusual, in my opinion, that especially Spain has been wished to win by Downing Street.
Yeah, look, I mean, certainly as Peter Carr was saying today, the UK would like FIFA to punish the Argentinian team because they feel that was political messaging shown on the pitch. The Lib Dem leader went a bit further, Louise, and said that Argentina should be banned from the tournament altogether. My son showed me his phone this morning and said, oh, goodness, there's a petition. It's got hundreds of thousands of names. People want Argentina to be banned from the tournament, which they will not be. I think that's all a little bit silly, but the question of political messaging and whether there should be a punishment there is definitely a fair one to ask. Look, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it. That is Dr. Louise Claire, an expert in British-Argentine relations and the Falklands War. Thank you.